This 4x4 is my new car, a 2015 A4 Ranger. It's clear this is a car that hasn't been used for grocery shopping. This car has been used for work in the field since it was purchased. But I think it's a pretty cool car, and I believe that for a little money we can make it look like new again. As you can see, it has a small dent in the front, the rear lights are broken, and the car is generally very scratched. Look, this light even had water inside. But the exterior is not the only thing wrong with this car. If we go to the inside, the car is super dirty from not being cleaned for a long time. But well, that's what you get with field cars. Instead of being vehicles, they are work tools. As you can see, the interior is a real challenge to get back to looking like new, and I believe this car has probably been cleaned very few times since it was purchased. This car is only 8 years old and is a modern car, so we are going to try to make this entire interior look as if it has never set foot in the field. And we are going to increase its value in case I decide to sell it later. To make this car look like new, we are going to start with the interior, which is going to require the most work. The first thing we'll do is clear out the interior, and we will repair any items that we find are not broken. Let's start by removing the seats from the car. To remove the front seats from this car is quite simple. We have a torque screw in each corner of the seat, and once we remove them, the seats will be loose. Once we have the seat loose, we will need to remove the airbag connector, which has a small screw that when removed allows us to take off the connector. Now we have the seat loose to disassemble it. The rear seat cushions of this car are also quite easy to remove. We will need to take out a few screws to remove the bottom part, and once we remove this screw here, we can pull the bottom forward and gain access to another screw that will remove the backrest. With this, we can take out these two parts. And now that we have removed the upholstery from the car, we are going to start taking out the mats, and all the other things inside the car is loaded and dirty. Once all the trash from the car has been removed, we will use the air nozzle to blow out all the plastics to get rid of any dirt that remains in all the crevices and to remove the carpet for when we vacuum. And now we can start vacuuming the carpet. Here we don't complicate things much, as I always say, and we vacuum everything that comes out easily. What is more embedded, we leave for the second pass. Now that we have vacuumed all the big stuff, we are going to do a thorough cleaning to remove all this embedded dirt. For this, we will use the tornado with degreaser in the tank. With the tornado tool, what we are going to do is remove all that dirt that is embedded in the carpet and bring it to the surface. So when we make passes with the tornado, we will have to vacuum again. This process should be repeated until the carpet is clean. Depending on the type of carpet, it may require more or fewer passes. This carpet from the Ford Ranger isn't bad, but it does trap a lot of dirt. However, it cleans up well. I've seen worse carpets. Clearly, the carpet changes a lot. You can see the difference between the clean part and the dirty part. One good thing about the tornado is that if there is a stain on the carpet, it removes it in one go, meaning we don't have to do anything unusual to get rid of it. In one part of the carpet, it is noticeable that a bottle of oil has spilled. And well, this is not just a simple stain, so the tornado here can remove it. But we are going to apply the same cleaning process to the rest of the car with oil stains, so we will do this cleaning process differently. We apply a bit of degreaser, and with a brush we start to scrub well to remove the stain, and with the pizza oven cleaner we rinse the entire stain and remove all the dirt. This process needs to be repeated many times because oil stains are complicated, especially after they have mixed with dirt, creating a mess that gets embedded in the fibers. But once we make a couple of passes with the pizza oven cleaner and rinse everything well, we use the tornado tool and rinse until we completely remove the stain. Guys, I'm going to show you something that just arrived and you're going to love it. I just received this package from the people at Bambula and it contains one of the best printers currently available on the market. So let's open it and I'll show it to you. This printer you are seeing here is the Bambula X1 Carbon, and it is one of the most advanced printers currently available on the market. To start this printer, we practically don't have to do anything. We just need to remove the 4 protective covers that come with it to prevent any damage and attach the screen, and install the AMS module, which is a spool exchanger that allows the printer to automatically and seamlessly change the filament such as. This makes it one of the most advanced printers on the market, as we will be able to create projects in multiple colors without the need to paint our pieces. The process of switching from one spool to another is done automatically by the printer, removing one filament and adding another. We can create projects, for example, by mixing several colors in the same piece or even printing different colors on various parts of the plate. This means we can print one side in one color and the other side in a different color, allowing us to produce the same project at the same time with multiple colors. This is great for making decorative pieces that do not need to be painted afterward. Apart from the filament change technology, the printer comes with several scanners and sensors that perform tests and automatically calibrate before starting to print our piece, ensuring that it will be printed perfectly. It also includes a camera with which we can make video recordings. But this printer is not only suitable for manufacturing with typical materials like PLA filament. This printer can print with any type of filament, especially one called carbon fiber nylon, which allows us to produce high-strength parts that are both mechanical and temperature-resistant. And this is great for making parts for the car because we can manufacture almost anything for the engine and interior. So, we are going to make some things that the Ford Ranger is missing. As you can see, it does have the little cap for the tube, so we will remove this cap and with the help of the caliper, we will measure it to create a digital design and be able to print a cap for the other side. Setting up the printer to print is super simple. All we have to do is tell it what type of filament we are going to use and send it to print. And with that, the printer automatically calibrates itself for that filament at the required speed and temperature. This piece took the printer about 40 minutes to print. I can tell you that for a technical filament like carbon fiber nylon, that is a super fast speed. And as you can see, having high speed does not affect the quality of the piece. Once we remove the supports from our cap, we check to see if it fits, and as you can see, it fits perfectly. And since we are at it, we will make another one for the other side and put both the same. Now, another modification we are going to make is that in the wheel arch, there is a tube where dirt and everything gets in from China. So with the same design of the bumper cap, we will rescale it to the size of this hole. And we make a small cap for each side and tie this gap here. The next piece we are going to manufacture for the starter is the cover here. And the thing is that Ford sells the complete part and it costs a fortune. I bought the design for the lid on a website called 3D Cool, where people sell designs they upload, and it cost me €1, so we didn't even bother making the design for the piece ourselves, as it would take much longer than what it costs. The printing of the cap has turned out perfect, although you can notice the filament line. However, we are going to leave it like that, since in the place where it goes, we don't want to bother sanding it, painting it, or anything. If you like this printer, which I know you did, I've left a discount coupon and a link in the description that will take you to the Bambula page where you can see it. So now you know, slide the description and take advantage. And finally, we have the carpet clean, one of the worst parts to clean in the car. Now before we start cleaning all the plastics in the interior, we are going to clean the roof directly. Since the roof of this car, well, people have smoked inside it, you can tell it has dirt and is quite dirty. To very carefully clean this ceiling, we will use the blower with degreaser and a clean dry cloth to remove the excess moisture. I must say that not all car roofs can be cleaned. This roof is made of carpet and can be cleaned, but roofs that are upholstered with foam padding cannot, because using a degreaser or any type of product may cause the foam to detach and the roof to sag. To clean the ceiling with the Tornado, first we wet it and then we turn off the faucet on the Tornado so that it dries, allowing it to only blow air. So we start drying the ceiling a bit, and with the help of the cloth we remove the plastics, the excess moisture from the degreaser and all that. As you can see, the process of cleaning the ceiling in fast motion is super enjoyable, but it requires a lot of work to keep your hand up and clean all of that. It's quite labor intensive, and now that the ceiling is clean, we can move on to the rest of the plastic in the car. Before starting to clean anything, the car's dashboard is damaged and well, part of the lighting is not working. As you can see, there are parts of the dashboard that are off and then the LEDs show different intensities. There's a flicker, but it's due to the video, not the frame. To disassemble, remove the front plastic to access screws. The frame comes off easily. We also blow out this part to remove dust. We can now move on to the part about cleaning the plastics. Let's start with the door panel, which as you can see is super dirty. To clean it, we will use a 10% degreaser from CX Sano, which is my brand. We let it sit for a few minutes to loosen the dirt, and then we will do a first cleaning to remove all the heavy grime. In the small crevices or hard to reach areas, we can use a brush or a paintbrush. To clean the fabric part, we apply the degreaser, let it act for a few minutes, and with the help of a brush, we start to remove the dirt. Since it is quite dirty here, we repeat this process a couple of times to ensure the fabric is super clean. And we continue cleaning the rest of the panel. This is a first pass to remove all the heavy dirt since it is very dirty. And once we have done an initial pass, we take another clean cloth and give the panel another thorough cleaning to carefully remove any remaining dirt. And in areas like the speaker grill or any small eggs it may have, we use compressed air to remove that dirt. Now that the panel is clean, as you can see, this part here is quite worn, so we are going to disassemble it to look for a solution later. Another part of the panel that looks really terrible is all these scratches it has here. So to fix this, we take the heat gun and very carefully melt the plastic. If you are going to do this at home, you need to proceed very carefully, testing little by little, because if you go too far, you can burn the plastic, which may change color and show a burn mark instead of a scratch. And as you can see, it is quite well concealed. We use the same cleaning process for the rest of the car panels. Use the same. The next part we are going to clean on the car is the door frames, which also have quite a bit of dirt. We apply a little degreaser to soften the dirt that is more embedded, and then, with the help of a brush in the areas where it is harder to remove the dirt, we scrub a little. And then, to remove all this dirt that we have removed, we take a sprayer with clean water and go from top to bottom, rinsing all the dirt down to the floor. And we also moved on to clean the plastic of the interior. Now that we have the door frames clean, we move on to the dashboard. The steering wheel, as you can see, has these two grey painted parts, slightly worn out at the bottom. So we need to solve this as well. But first we clean it, since cleaning the steering wheel while it's in the car is more convenient. And as you can see, the amount of dirt on the steering wheel is quite disgusting. This steering wheel had so much dirt that I had to go over it 3 complete times with the degreaser and the brush to remove all the embedded dirt. Once we have the steering wheel clean, we remove the airbag and take out the 2 button panels. But here I noticed that the leather of the steering wheel, after cleaning it, was quite worn. So we are also going to take out the steering wheel and repair this leather. Yeah, I'm about to fade away. Now we can clean the rest of the plastic in the interior. Something's going wrong with all the chemicals up in my brain. All of a sudden I don't look at anything the same way. Gotta build up of my thoughts sitting in an ashtray. I'm sorry that I'm so inconvenient, okay. Just let me be me and I'll stay out of your way. I can see the way you look at me, I'm such a disgrace. I never really asked to be brought into this place. You wanna love me? Well then baby have a taste. All the highs and the lows, no you'll never be the same. I don't really wanna hurt you but I can't control the pain. If you're sticking by my side, maybe we could be okay. Okay, maybe you could be the change. You might not actually see this car as being indeed overly dirty, but look at this air vent. That is so clogged with dirt that it can barely move. To stay through all the pain. I know you told your friend you're not okay. And tell me what's wrong and why you never said you felt that way. Guess you're trying to stay strong and fake a smile until I look away. But I've known you too long, it hurts to watch your blue eyes fade to gray as you fade away. As you fade away. As you fade away. With all the interior plastics clean, we move on to clean the seat belts, as the driver's seat belt had an incredible amount of grime. To clean it, we detach the seat belt from the bottom part, as it is very easy in this car. It only has one screw, and we fully submerge it in the container with water. We add a bit of degreaser to the water and let it work really well to loosen the dirt. Once the degreaser has taken effect and removed all the dirt from the seat belt, we change the water in the container, rinse it, and dry it well with a dry cloth. This way, we remove any grime that may be left stuck. We repeat the same process with the rest of the seat belts in the car. I believe that by looking at the color of the water, it's absolutely clear that it wasn't clean. And now we have the interior 100% completely free of dirt. Now we need to prepare the things we have disassembled, such as the dashboard. Besides the burnt out LEDs that I showed you earlier, as you can see, it is also super dirty. So, since we are at it, we are going to completely disassemble it and clean all the parts. Even though we almost have to take everything apart to reach the board where the LEDs we need to change are located. Once we have everything disassembled, we can access the LEDs, and as you can see, they are already repaired. I did this a few years ago, and I only changed the ones that were burnt out, but the others have continued to burn out, which is why there were LEDs of different intensities. So this time what we are going to do is remove all the LEDs and replace them with completely new ones, thus avoiding problems and ensuring they all look the same. Once the LEDs are soldered, I take the board to the car and check that all of them are working properly before assembling the dashboard, in case any bulb has a poor connection or any part of the dashboard is damaged. And since we know that everything works well, we thoroughly clean all the parts of the dashboard and reassemble it.
Not okay. And tell me what's wrong and why you never said you felt that way. And guess you're trying to stay strong and fake a smile until I look away. But I've known you too long, it hurts to watch your blue eyes fade to gray.
Once assembled in the car, we ensure everything works and lights up well. While testing the lighting of the dashboard, I noticed that there was another lighting issue, which was the entire button panel of the radio. This seemed so strange to me that I searched for a photo on Google to see if the radio has lighting and if it should light up in blue. Since we were at it, we disassembled this part of the console and looked for a repair. As you have seen, the console comes out just by pulling it back, and once we have this part removed, we take out what will be the radio module and disassemble it to access the board, just like we did with the dashboard to check the number of LEDs it has. Well, here I was doing tests with the power supply, and only the emergency light button and the door lock were working. All the other LEDs were burnt out. So we replaced all the LEDs here with new ones, and just like we did with the dashboard, we connected only the board in the car and turned on the ignition and the lights to see that everything works well. And that's it. Once we know that everything works, we reassembled the console and put it in the car, and look how cool it looks with the new lighting. In the next part, we are going to repair the interior trims. Both the driver's side and steering wheel were worn out, and we are going to find a solution for all of them. The most convenient thing would be to paint it, but I didn't have gray paint, and what I had on hand was carbon fiber vinyl. So I thought we could use vinyl. To apply the pieces with the vinyl, we need to cut a piece much larger than the item, since we have to tuck the vinyl inside the piece, and with the help of a heat gun, we will heat those areas where we need to stretch the vinyl to shape it. To make small pieces like this that have very pronounced curves, you really need a little bit more practice, but the vinyl is cheap and it's something you can try at home, and you can manage with a hairdryer to heat the vinyl. So you can practice. As you can see, when the piece is wrapped in vinyl, all the excess is trimmed off, leaving a little to fold over at the back to prevent it from peeling off. And look, with a little patience, how great the steering wheel trim has turned out. Now we do the other one the same way. And to do the door trims, the process is the same, but it's a bit easier here. Since the piece is larger and has fewer pronounced curves, it honestly goes faster and is simpler. And what I had left, I directed towards my dream. But the only thing in life, and honestly for my taste, I prefer them in carbon fiber rather than silver. Leave me. Take into your hands a plan. Your own hands can land your own brand, and damn, I feel like no one takes accountability. They want the credibility convincing. Now it's Arturo's turn at the steering wheel, which as I showed before was quite worn, and honestly it feels pretty bad to the touch. To repair this, we will use a special leather dye, a matte varnish also specially made for leather, a plastic promoter to give adhesion to the dye, a stain remover to clean it, and a sanding sponge to sand the leather and make it smooth. The first thing we are going to do with the sandpaper is to sand all the leather that we are going to paint and repair. The purpose of sanding is to smooth it out and remove all the roughness it has. Once we have sanded it, we take the cleaner and clean everything very well. Now that we have it clean, we mask the parts we don't want to paint and start by applying a thin layer of the plastic promoter. We need to apply it on both the back and the front side.
Once the promoter has dried, we are going to apply the dye. I will pour the dye into the spray gun and use a super low air pressure so that the paint comes out very rough and we can slightly simulate the texture of the skin. We need to apply a couple of coats, and as I said, with very, very low pressure so that the paint comes out quite thick and forms little droplets on the surface of the steering wheel. But he wants to be king. Yeah, they y'all. Once the dye has dried, we will apply the varnish, and we will apply it very gently, giving it 2 coats. The varnish will help protect the dye and give the steering wheel a more leather-like appearance. Got some scars, got some needs, are you willing to go bleed? And once it's dry, look how cool it turned out. It's clear that reupholstering the steering wheel is better, but this is something we can do at home, and it takes at most an hour of work. And we placed the button panels back again and reassembled it in the car. It's only worth it if you work for it. I won't stop till they hear me now. I'm sure many of you are wondering if the steering wheel holds up, and I tell you that with this you can throw damage without any problem. To say, it can hold up almost as well as the upholstery. Before we start cleaning the car seats, we are going to apply the silicone-free dashboard polish. Since it comes in gel form, we apply it with a sponge and need to cover all the plastics in the car to restore some shine and protect them. Once we have applied the product all over the car, we let it dry for a few minutes and take a clean, dry microfiber cloth to spread the product and remove the excess. This way, we achieve a more natural shine and it feels much better to the touch. Now it's time for the car seats, which, well, with their color, the dirt is somewhat less noticeable, but they are actually much dirtier than they appear. To clean these, we take the degreaser diluted to 10 or 15% depending on the amount of dirt on the seat. We can even concentrate it more and we sprinkle it well all over the seat. We need to let it act for 10-15 minutes to effectively remove all the dirt from the fabric. Once we have let it act, we take the pressure washer and without fear, we thoroughly spray the entire seat with water. I recommend doing this always with good temperature since they will take quite a while to dry, at least 2 or 3 days until all the moisture is gone. I do not recommend taking it out in the sun for at least 24 hours after cleaning so that all the moisture leaves the fabric and the only thing that remains damp is the sponge, as taking the wet fabric directly into the sun will leave marks when it dries.
Once we have the seats clean and we have a wet vacuum, I recommend giving them a pass. We let the seats drain for about an hour after washing, and then we take the vacuum and remove as much moisture as possible. By doing this, the seats will dry much faster. And to add a detail to the interior, we are going to put some new rubber stars, which I'm really not a big fan of, but I think they suit this car well, since with its 4x4 use, if we take it off-road someday, these stars are much more practical than the fabric ones. They also come specifically for this car, and as you can see, they protect even the center part all sides well, so I really like them for this car, to be honest. With the interior of the car ready, we move it to the lift, and here we need to do several things, such as cleaning all the undercarriage. So, we will start by removing the wheels to also clean all the wheel arches properly, and then disassemble the front part for the repair. To clean the underside of our 404, we are going to use the pressure washer and the Ekafuan that I have with foam, but we will add degreaser to it. So what we are going to do is spray all the underside of the car and let the degreaser act for about 5 to 10 minutes, and then use the pressure water to remove all the dirt. It's not about making it 100% new since it's a car that will definitely every now and then go off-road and get dirty again, but at least we can absolutely remove any residue and make it a bit more interesting. Honestly, I don't know if I'm going to keep it or sell it. I bought it with the idea of doing a pretty cool project, but after crunching the numbers and looking at all the prices, it's getting a bit pricey. At the end of the video, I'll share my idea, and if the video about the Ranger does quite well, I might consider it. If not, then we'll just prepare it well for a sale. If you've made it to this part of the video and have already left us a like, click to help YouTube recommend it to more followers and subscribe if you haven't to catch more videos. And to really make it go viral, share it and pass it on to your family, friends, anyone, so they can see it. Now that we have the underside of the Ranger clean, we move on to the wheel arches, where we do the same. We apply the foam and use the pressure washer to remove all the dirt. In the areas where everything is a bit more embedded, we can use a brush here, since these parts are sold from the outside and we can leave it a little cleaner. And to finish the cleaning in this part, we also give the engine a once-over. Taking advantage of the fact that we have the 4 wheels of the car disassembled, we are going to clean them from the inside, which as you can see are quite dirty because I believe they haven't been cleaned in their lifetime. So here we will apply the degreaser, let it act, and clean both the rim and the tire. For the areas where the dirt is a bit more embedded, we will take a brush and scrub a little to remove it, and then we will rinse with water. And look how beautiful the 4 wheels have turned out on the inside. Now we have to dismantle the entire front part, the fender, and the headlight to repair all of this here. As you can see, even the fog light here is broken. The fender has the wheel arch held with zip ties because this part must have been torn off. We need to take all of this apart to see what is damaged and what we need to change and start repairing. Since the impact affected the fender, we have to remove both the front part and the fender and the bumper. As you can see, the grille was also a bit damaged. It looked a little loose at one corner. We also need to take out the headlight since it was pushed in and has broken tabs. We have also removed the fender. The headlight on the other side, as you can see, is yellow, so we will also repair this. So we also took this headlight out of the car. It is not a lie. You'll find it eventually, but when things reach the truth, it is not a lie. Now that we have the entire front dismantled, we are going to leave it as it is and move the car to the exterior washing area. We are going to realign the entire body before we start putting in the new parts and doing all the painting we need to do. The first thing we are going to clean is the rear box, which has been used for work and it's normal for it to be this dirty. They even left me some buckets and some jugs. So we are going to start by completely clearing out the trunk and sweeping up a little bit of all the dirt that is there. Place where no one breaks their promises, or maybe John myself in something that is bottomless. Take me back to a place where Ruff felt at home. Take me back to a day when we weren't alone. Take me back to a... Since we are also going to change the rear lights of the Ranger because both are broken, we will remove them now. And that way, when we clean the entire part of the box, we will also clean the entire internal part of the chassis, which also has quite a bit of dust inside. Now before cleaning the box, we are going to deflate the rear tires so that it tilts from the back, and when we spray it with water, it will drain out. We could have chalked it from the front, but the jack stands I have are not tall enough, so it's better to deflate the wheels. And now, to clean this part here, we are going to put a bit of concentrated degreaser in our foam lance of the pressure washer, and we are going to spray well all the interior of the box and the inside part of the headlights. And I believe that here the difference is noticeable too. When a part of the car has not been cleaned for so long, just look at the change it makes with a little care, and we have already inflated the tires again and moved on to the exterior. The first thing we are going to do is a pre-wash of the wheels. I cleaned them before, but I only cleaned the inside, so now we are going to clean the outside. So we apply the degreaser, and with a brush, where the brake dust is more embedded, we give it a little and rinse it well. Once we have the wheels clean, we are going to do a deep cleaning of the body as we need to polish it completely. So we are going to take the battery foam sprayer with concentrated degreaser and apply it to the entire exterior of the car. I am using the foam sprayer on this part of the body instead of the lance because this foam comes out much drier than with the lance. The lance has more water, so this degreaser is more concentrated than the one I use with the lance. When we let the foam act, we take the pressure washer and start to remove all the dirt. In the next part of the cleaning, we are going to do a hand wash, and for this we will use pin body shampoo and the foam lance. We are going to thoroughly spray the entire car with foam, and we are going to take a mitt and scrub the whole body to remove any residues that may be stuck. Normally this wash is done with wax shampoo, but since we are going to polish the car and finish it by hand, using wax shampoo is not useful for me. So since the body shampoo pin removes more dirt, we do it with this. And once we have it clean, we need to let it dry really well so that all the moisture comes out of all the gaps and areas in order to start polishing. As you can see, the car is super scratched, so the polishing is going to be very beneficial. Before starting with the polishing, there is one area of the car that really bothers me to leave as it is, and that is the sill of the door frame, which from getting in and out and rubbing with the feet, look at it, all the paint is lifted and rusted. So we are going to clean it up and disguise it somehow. We will start with a sanding sponge, sanding down this part here to level that area of the paint and remove the rust. After that, what we are going to do is cover this part here, put some paper, and we will apply a spray primer to cover this entire area of the sheet metal and level out any unevenness that may remain between the paint and the sheet metal. When the spray primer has dried, we will take the sanding sponge and sand this entire area again to level it. Now with a silicone-free degreaser, we clean the entire area and remask it. And now we are going to paint with the airbrush using the same color base that this car has. We need to paint the entire patch well without going too far into the taped area, as otherwise we will create a step and will have to sand it down again. Once we have painted everything with the color base, we will need to remove the masking tape and mask a little further in to apply the varnish. This ensures that the entire area we painted with the color base cures well with the varnish. Once the varnish has dried very well, we remove the paper, and now we have to sand all of this with water sandpaper to smooth it out and be able to polish it so that it doesn't show. It will obviously be noticeable because it was done quickly, painted with the airbrush, but at least we disguise it a lot to cover up the patch, well, with the paint already stripped and all that filled with rust. Just look at the change before and after. If you look at the image, you can actually see a little bit of the paint cut, which is something I expected, but at least it's somewhat disguised. Now with the varnish that I have left over and a little bit of color base, we are going to make a mixture and use this tool that has a small reservoir with a needle, and we will use it to remove all the chips and large scratches on the car to cover them with paint. I have mixed the color base with the varnish because this way, when we sand it and polish it, it will shine directly as if it were a single layer but with the effect of pearl. This may seem a bit like a botched job, but I say it fixes a lot of deep scratches that have stripped the paint. Once this paint has dried, we need to take some water sandpaper and sand to level it and remove any thick drops we may have left, smoothing it out. As you can see here on the trunk lid, the scratch is still slightly noticeable, but it is very well concealed. Keep in mind that the paint was practically ripped off there. We can also use it on all the big dings on the hood. Now we are indeed going to move on to the polishing compound part. We will use both a large polisher and a small one for the details. We will do a two-step polishing. We will use a cutting polishing compound and a medium fine polishing compound to give the car a shine. We are not going to level the paint with sandpaper or anything because it's a car that will be used in the field. Well, I'm not going to use it in the field, but if it is used in the field again, sanding the paint to polish it and reducing the thickness of the varnish will make it easier to get scratched. To polish the car, we need to start with the most abrasive polishing compound to remove the deeper scratches it has. We must apply this polishing compound carefully in small areas, and we will need to make 2 passes in some parts as the car has many scratches. I must say that it is impossible to remove 100% of those scratches, so we need to make a couple of passes. Once we have polished with the coarse polishing compound, we move on to the medium fine one, and with just 1 pass it's more than enough. This is similar to sandpaper grits. First you sand with a coarser paper and then switch to a finer one. With polishing, it's the same. We start with the coarse polishing compound, then use a medium one, and finally a fine one. We will go directly to the coarse and medium because it's more than enough to enhance the shine of this car, and as you can see, it makes a noticeable difference. The black of the car becomes much blacker after removing 90% of the scratch. I started with the roof and now I'm moving to the hood area. I start with the roof because it's a very tall car. I have to climb up on the ladder and lean against the body to work on the roof. So if we polish the sides first, when I polish the roof, I will likely scratch it again. In the areas where we have touched up with paint and sanded with water sandpaper, such as in this little patch on the hood, we don't have to do anything at all. Just with the cutting polishing compound, we need to insist a little more in that area to remove the part from the sandpaper and continue polishing as usual. For all these smaller areas of the car, instead of using the large polisher, we are going to use the small pneumatic one. And the polishing system is the same smaller sponge and compound. Polish in the same way in 2 steps. Do a few passes with the cutting polishing compound and then use the medium fine polishing compound. We use the small polisher to polish in areas where the large one is complicated. And since the polishing process is very labor intensive, see the before after of the car parts to see the difference. I think the part of the trunk lid was the worst of all, as the entire lower section had some lime stains that neither the degreaser nor any product I had in the workshop could remove. So we are going to polish this whole area here with the small polisher to get rid of it. And I definitely believe that here the polishing is also quite noticeably significant in this part of the trunk above the handle. There was a pretty thick scratch that, as you can clearly see, that area has been sanded from having applied paint. Just look at how that part has turned out after polishing. You can't even tell. We finished polishing the rest of the car's body, and now we are going to repair the front. To start with the repair, the front bumper of the car was indeed quite damaged. It was very crumpled in one corner and, well, on the other hand, it was also cracked. Well, we're not going to complicate things. Why? Because they gave me a pre-painted replacement for the car. You see, when they bought the new car, it got a dent and they made a bit of a mess with the insurance. They put on a new one, and since his didn't have much paint, they painted both, so we have a spare bumper. The fender was quite bent at one corner, and a new fender for this car cost €55, so we didn't complicate things and bought a new fender, which is going to be better than repairing the old one. The new fender comes with primer, so we take a sanding sponge and smooth out the primer a bit. And in the areas where there are any imperfections, we use spray filler to touch it up, taking advantage of the fact that we need to paint the fender. We are also going to take out the headlights since they are yellow. But one of the headlights, well, the one from the impact, as you can see, is quite crumpled. No supports are missing, but it is pretty broken. We are going to repair this one. I thought of buying a new headlight, which costs about $130, $140 since it can be repaired. It can be saved. The headlight won't show any signs of damage. What we are going to do is weld it. Since the headlight is broken, we can't solder it all at once. We have to apply points, aligning the plastic so that it aligns properly. If we start welding from one end, when we reach the other end, it might not align, and we will have to fill it with filler. This could lead to misalignment. It even has a pretty big hole where some pieces of plastic are missing, so we spot welded it a little, and now we are looking for a solution for the plastic pieces. Once we have the entire headlight in place, we can put a thicker tip on the soldering iron and start welding the entire crack properly to ensure it is well welded and does not break again. To cover the 2 holes that remain, we carefully look for any leftover plastic on the headlight. Cut it precisely, and use the same plastic from the headlight to thoroughly repair that part. With this, the headlight is perfect, and as you can see, in an area that is not visible, it doesn't matter at all. Now we need to prepare them for varnishing, so we have to sand them thoroughly. To remove all the bulk, we will start with a 400 grit sandpaper and the sander. We will sand the entire headlight dry. With this, we are going to remove the varnish and all the imperfections that the headlight has, such as chips or cracks or whatever. Then we will sand with a 600 grit sandpaper, but we will do this wet. And with these 2 sanding steps, it is more than enough to varnish it. We can now take the fender and the 2 headlights to the paint booth. We cover the headlights to protect the areas we don't want to get dirty with varnish. And before we start painting, we need to clean everything well with a silicone-free degreaser to prevent imperfections in the paint and achieve the best possible finish. The first thing we are going to do is apply the base color to the fender. Since this is a metallic color, it requires a metallic water-based base color and then a clear coat. So, we first apply the base color to the fender. Once the base color has dried, we can prepare the varnish and start lacquering the headlights and the fender. First, we need to apply a light coat of varnish that will serve as a base for a second slightly heavier coat. And with 2 coats, it will be sufficient for both the fender and the headlights. And once painted, we leave them inside the paint booth for 24 hours so that the paint dries thoroughly and we can safely handle the parts carefully. Although the paint takes quite a bit longer to evaporate all the solvent and everything, well, after 24 hours we can handle it and we can install it on the car. Just be extra careful not to rub it or touch it or anything because it definitely leaves marks. By the way, the headlights now look like new, and after a full 24 hours we started carefully assembling the car. To install the new bumper, we have to remove the components from one to put them on the other. And here I didn't realize that the fog light grille, well, the trim that goes here was broken and I had forgotten to buy one. Well, I also couldn't find it easily online and had to order it from Ford. So, well, we are going to make do with what we have. The plastic part at the bottom, what we are going to do is clean it really well and we are going to use textured plastic paint and give it a coat of paint to make it look like new. This plastic was fine. It really had nothing wrong with it. The only thing was that it looked used, but it still works just the same, so we painted it a little with the texture, and it looks like new plastic. And for the grille, the only option that comes to mind, since we don't have it in good condition, is to repair the crack here, weld it, and paint it. So we take the welder and repair the part of the crack a bit so that the piece stays joined and is not broken. And once the crack is well welded, it won't break again. We sand this whole part to clean it up and make it less noticeable. And we will paint it with a textured finish. What we will do is paint both grills. The truth is that I don't mind it at all because removing that grey part and putting the black grille is something I really like. When you see the bumper assembled, you'll see that it looks super good. And since the fog light we have is broken, I found a new fog light on Amazon for quite cheap. As you can see, I really love grills painted in black. As for the grill part, well, as I said, when I took it apart, it was noticeable that one part was loose and it was also broken from the impact, so we're going to weld this part here. There are some really cool grills that they sell on AliExpress that instead of being chrome, they have 4 in big letters or Ranger and all that. But since I don't know what I'm going to do with the car yet, I didn't want to spend money as they cost about $150, so we're going to make do with this one. As you can see, I applied degreaser to remove all the bugs from the front. As we disassembled the grille, we hadn't washed the exterior of the car. What we are going to do is give it a little hand polishing to remove some of the imperfections it may have, like scratches and all, and to add a bit of shine. And that way it will be perfect. And we can finish assembling the front of the car. Come on, forget your rules. You probably haven't even applied them yet. And now we are also going to install some new tail lights, which, as you saw, were pretty much destroyed and there's no fixing that, so we're going straight for new tail lights. To add more detail to the exterior, the part of the toe ball was quite rusty, so we took a bit of matte black spray and painted it. Since this is just a floor, to make it look a bit nicer, we won't complicate things with sanding or priming or anything. Just a bit of matte black to camouflage that rust and we're good to go. Something I had never done before was wax the car. I was waiting to assemble the front so I could also wax these parts here. So, we waxed the entire car completely to give it extra protection for the polish and to make it last longer. And to continue detailing the exterior, we take the rubber and tire cleaner, prepare it in a spray bottle, and apply it to all the tires of the car, as well as to the interiors of the wheel arches and the fenders. This way, we leave all these parts with their black color. And now, to completely finish cleaning the car, I will clean the windows, which, as you know, I like to leave for last. For this, we use the all-purpose screen and glass cleaner and a bit of paper towel, and with this, we leave the glass looking like new. And now, the cherry on top, a couple of new license plates. Folks, we're going to see a sneak peek after all the car process, and I'll tell you what I'm going to give you, so don't miss it.
Don't wanna sleep in, cause I got something to prove. I gotta take what I hate and finally make a move. I think of you and all the shit you don't do. Well, I'ma make hella sure that I don't become you. I have no regrets, yeah, I'll tie up my chest. I'll never forget what it's like to be in debt. Been stabbed in the back bed, I'll show you what happens. Pass me the mic and I'll show you with action. I feel this pain, you already know. Turn that to gains, let my money show. I've got these things that I can't let go. Watch me turn this life into something that you can never own. I feel this pain, you already know.